My word of explanation, the reason I'm down here is I don't stand still well. And if you'll look up here, there's just not much room on the podium up there. So I tend to move around. I know it can be distracting, and I apologize. If it's distracting to you, I apologize. I'll try to do the best I can. I want to thank Eric Crabtree. My guess is all of you have noticed Eric up on the stage. Eric in the past has painted pictures during services, and some of them are hanging downstairs. I think it adds so much. It's a gift that Eric offers to the church, and so he will be painting the sermon. And so hopefully at the end of the sermon, anything I said you didn't understand, look at the picture and you can probably determine what it is or listen to what Trey said. Several weeks ago, Dale said, Ken, it's time for you to preach again. And I said, it happens. I said, okay. He said, I'll let you pick when you do it. And I said, well, I looked at my schedule. I've got class next week. And I said, it would work well if I could do it before then. So I said, let's do it the first Sunday in October. It was then I realized it was World Communion Sunday, which just happens to be one of my favorite days, having been to a lot of places and celebrated communion. But if you're not familiar with the history of World Communion Sunday, I think it was begun in 1933, Presbyterian Church, I believe in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is where it began. The pastor began the celebration of World Communion Sunday. And some would say in the shape the world is in now, with the discord and the strife, perhaps World Communion Sunday may be even more important to celebrate it now than way back when. The scripture text this morning is simply the words that Jesus shared at one of many meals that he shared with the disciples. He had lots and lots of times of gathering around the table with them, and the words he shared are the words of the Last Supper, and we know that. And those are words that we hear each and every Sunday when we celebrate the Holy Communion. It reminds us that we are unified together with Christ, with the gift that he is to us. This blessing, the breaking, the blessing, and the giving, we see that throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament as well, many times in Scripture. It could be that those of you familiar with love languages, it could be that food is one of God's love languages. It is for me. I think we have, 10,000 taste buds that God allows us to enjoy the food. So maybe the meals are one of God's gifts to us as we do that. We see meals again. We see meals throughout the Bible. I was reading an article this week that said Jesus literally ate his way through the New Testament. And if you read that, how many times did he gather his disciples and other people and share a meal around the table? I want to just take a look for a few moments at some of the meals that we see in the Bible. We begin in Genesis. And many of us remember the story of Abraham and Sarah when they welcomed strangers and they shared a meal with them. People they did not know. And it becomes a picture and a message of hospitality that is carried through the Bible. And I think about that. Of course, I understand it was a different time and a different culture. But would we be like that now? Would we be so open to welcoming people that we didn't know in our home and invite them to share a meal with us? I don't know. Perhaps we're not that way. We think about the Passover meal. The Passover meal is such an important part of the Old Testament, New Testament as well. As the Jewish people each year gather to celebrate the meal and remember their escape from Egypt. We see Zacchaeus. When Jesus said, Zacchaeus, get down on a tree because I'm going to share a meal with you alone. And how many times, one of the things that Jesus got in trouble with most of all was for sharing meals with sinners, with people that were not clean, with people that the people from the church wouldn't eat with. But yet Jesus hung out with them quite a bit, a whole lot. We see the feeding of the 5,000 when Jesus got with the 5,000. The Bible says that it was 5,000 men, but remember there's women and children there too. Some scholars will say there's 12 to 15,000 people that were together at that dinner. If you remember, the same words he used then were the words he used in communion as he broke and blessed the bread. Lots of other meals we see in the Bible, lots of times when people gather around the table. We even see it after the crucifixion, the resurrection. If you recall, the men were walking on the road to Emmaus, and this was after the crucifixion, and they were talking about the things that happened. Suddenly, the stranger showed up with them and began talking with them, and it was late, and they invited him to stay with them, and he broke the bread with them, and they recognized who it was. It was truly Jesus on one of those meals when he showed himself. And then in the meal, if you recall, again, after the crucifixion, before the resurrection, the disciples, who many of them were fishermen, they'd gone back to their old life, and they were fishing. And Jesus showed up on the bank of the Sea of Galilee. He said, bring the fish and let's share a meal together. And some people say that was when Peter was restored. If you remember, Peter denied Jesus 3 times. And they said it was in that meal, that breaking the bread together, that the relationship that Peter felt had been severed with Jesus was restored. What a beautiful imagery of that is. Throughout the Bible, God has such a way of showing up at meals, showing up when people gather around the table. But if you think about the center of the spiritual life in the Old Testament and the New Testament are meals. We find the Passover meal, we find Holy Communion. Those are just really, really special meals. I ran across this quote from N.T. Wright. He says this. He says, when Jesus himself wanted to explain to his disciples what his forthcoming death was all about, he didn't give them a theory, he gave them a meal. It's the same meal that we'll share this morning. Meals were important in Old Testament times and in the time of Jesus. And I think they should be important to us. Meals were richly symbolic acts where people were accepted, people were blessed, and people were honored. Are meals that way for us today? When we gather around the table, we're Methodists. We eat lots. When we gather around the table, is that what our meals are like? I'm not sure. I want to show a video, and I need to own this video in the beginning. It's an older video. It's by a group called Audio Adrenaline. And the video is big now. Some of you are really going to like it. In fact, some of you may want to get up and dance. Others of you are going to look at it and say, Ken, I can't believe you're showing this. And so I just want to, own it in the very beginning. But it's a video that was really, when we first began Christmas, it was a big part of Christmas. We showed it all the time. And I was the one that finally went to them and said, we've seen this video hundreds of times. Can we not show it anymore? And so here I'm the one that shows it this morning. So just watch it and then let me try to explain my way out of it after we see this. I could identify those of you who've been on Christmas because you were sitting there singing it. You should all be grateful that Kyle was on the sound system back there because I began singing it. I think he realized I was singing, so he shut it down really quick. He's got orders to do that. But some of you appreciate the video, some of you may not have. But to me, it's a beautiful imagery. What is his Father's house? It's a church. It's a church where we gather. Again, it has to be a Methodist church because we eat a lot. We play a lot. And the image, one thing that really stands out to me in that video is when they say there's lots and lots of room for everyone. That's the way the church needs to be. But I'm afraid that we have a tendency to focus on being around the people that are just like us. Even to the point of excluding people that may be different from us. Is that the way God wants it? I don't think so. I saw an interview this week with a pastor, United Methodist pastor at a church in downtown New York City. And World Communion Sunday is very special to them because to their knowledge they have 50 countries represented in their congregation. And he said on World Communion Sunday when people come forward and receive communion, he said it's a celebration of all these different cultures coming together to worship God. What a beautiful, I guess I'd love to be there some World Communion Sunday and see that. That to me is what the church needs to look like. Thoughts about the United Methodist Church. There's some friends of mine that often say things to me like, Ken, the Methodist Church, United Methodist Church is really wishy-washy because they just believe everything. Well, we really don't believe everything. There are essentials of faith that are very strong to us. But there's room for a lot of people around the table. There's room for a lot of different beliefs about the non-essentials. Sometimes I think we measure them on others. We focus on the things that separate us instead of the things that we share in common. I really dislike labels. We hear the label liberal, conservative. We hear those labels thrown around, and I don't like those. It seems like in today's time, if somebody disagrees with you, they don't like you, you're no longer friends. But the pastor that led me back to faith, Ted Dawson, you've heard me talk about him probably too many times, but he was probably the most liberal Methodist pastor there was. And at that time, I was fairly conservative, and it didn't matter. Those labels didn't matter. He led me back to faith. And if he was liberal or conservative, it didn't matter. The man lived down his faith and showed me what church was supposed to be like and brought me back to faith. And so I think that we need to be careful with that. One thing I love about the Methodist Church is that we do practice open communion. I've been in churches before where you couldn't take communion if you weren't a member of that church or that denomination perhaps. And one thing I love about United Methodist Church is we practice open communion. All are invited to come and join us at the table. There's room for lots of people at that table. And there was actually a person here from another denomination and kind of cornered me after the service and was talking about us. Is that proper that somebody, that you don't even know if they believe in Jesus, they come and take communion? And I had a pretty simple answer. I said, God does things in the bread and the juice that we can't begin to imagine. We need to exclude anybody from coming to the table. And when we see you come, and particularly on retreats or maybe downstairs with students, when I see the students come forward to communion, and particularly those that it may be the first time they've ever taken communion, to see their face, to see the sacredness of that moment is something very special. So I'm glad there's room for all of us around the table. Perhaps on the World Communion Sunday, we should remind ourselves that there should be lots of room around the table. We should celebrate our diversity. This morning we gather with people around the world. They don't look like us, they don't speak like us, they don't even act like us. But we should remember them when we gather around the table. Remember the gifts they bring to the table. I want to share with you just a few meals or close meals that I shared with people around the world. When I first realized Communion Sunday, I thought, I've got to share this. This first picture, I'll go ahead and throw the first picture up there. That is the picture of it as a meal. You can see some people are grinding other stuff. I'm pretty focused on my meal there. It was a really good meal. Let me give you the history on that. Summer before, we took a trip to Guatemala, and we began building a new dining hall and kitchen in the community of Chile Estancia. 337 kids in the school, and they needed a new kitchen and dining hall because the old one was falling apart. So we dug footers, we made concrete cages. We dug footers. We had a kid with us who was 5 foot tall. We used her to measure the depth of how big based on the footer. Jim, you were there, you remember that. And so we did that, and we had a vacation Bible school, and it was just a great time. And so the students said, this last summer, they said, are we going back to Chile Estancia? I said, no, that project will probably be finished. We'll probably need to go back. So they called me a few days before we were down there and said, Ken, would you be willing to take your team back to Chile Estancia and finish the project? And I said, well, yeah, I guess we will. And so we go back down and we finished the dining hall. It was so good to be back there. But then the community did a celebration on Thursday we were down there to dedicate the building and celebrate with the school and all people in the community. And they said, we're going to share a meal with you. This is a poor village, poor community in Guatemala that invited these 40 North Americans that helped on this project. We want to join you. We want you to join us at the table. And they prepared a meal for us. And it was such a glorious meal. We in America are kind of picky eaters sometimes. And Dave Burns, the Bishop of Guatemala, pulled me aside a few days before. He said, Ken, we're not sure what the food is going to be. We know it'll be safe. We know it'll be good. But, you may have some students that don't really like it. And because they're preparing this meal for you and it's a gift to you, it wouldn't be appropriate if people didn't eat it. He said, we've had that happen before. So if you've got any kids that are kind of picky eaters, maybe they shouldn't come. And he was being very gracious about it. I said, I understand. So I shared with the team that. And there were 2 of them that said, Ken, I don't know if I can eat it or not. I said, well, when we get time the meal, just kind of sneak out back and we'll find some food. They both ended up going, and they both ended up eating. And I was in the kitchen when the plates were going back in, and the ladies were so excited that the plates were coming back empty. Now, granted, there may be somebody sitting beside you, and the food you didn't like, you share with them, but we emptied it. And that was a gift they offered to us. They didn't have to do that for us, but they offered it to us. It was just a very, very special gift, very special time. And the food, I thought the food was good. There was a big plate of vegetables and probably the best mashed potatoes I ever had, and some chicken that they smoked in the wood oven. It was just really, really good. The next picture is a meal that I almost shared. This picture actually showed up on my Facebook page just a couple of weeks ago. And the lady in the middle, in the purple, her name is Rosa. I met Rosa back in the early 90s in Venezuela, the community in Alligator Ascension. And Rosa was a really small little girl, and some of the people here may have been there with me. And she and others stole our hearts. They really did. And this is a picture of Rosa and her kids now. They put on my Facebook page, it said Rosa and her children send love and kisses to Ken Hundley. And I just melted when I saw that, because these kids were so very special the time we shared with them. But I'm going to tell you a story about, there's another family that actually lived across the street from Rosa, and it was a mom, and she had a single mom, which most of the women around there are single. She had 5 daughters and a son. And Yosnelli, when I first went down there in '94, Yosnelli was the same age as my daughter, about half her size. Became a really special friend of mine, a really special girl. And so they would all the time invite me after we did Bible school or construction. They'd invite me to come to their house. And every time I go in there, the mom would always stop me and say, you need to pray over the house before you come in. And so, it became very, very close to them. So one year we were down there, and they invited me to, Yosnelli came up. And understand, they don't speak in English, and my Spanish is suspect at best. And Yosnelli came up and said, Mom wants you to stay for dinner. So we laughed. I said, let's go see what's for dinner. And so I walked in the house, and of course Mom stopped me and said, pray. And then I said, what's for dinner? And she showed me the dinner. And there was a piece of what she called medium chicken. There was 1 potato, 1 tomato, 1 carrot, 1 onion. The chicken we would have thrown out. We would not have served it. And so I'm sitting there looking at this food, and I've eaten in those homes before, and I know how that works. They prepare the food, and they feed it to the guests. What the guest doesn't eat is their meal. And really what they want to do is they want the guests to consume all of it. Because what that means is that we have pleased this person. We have made this person feel at home. They remember the Abraham Sarah story. They remember the pastor who says, love your neighbor as yourself. And as I looked at that meal, and I got thinking, this is for all of us, and it's not going to go very far. And I became very Methodist at the time. And I said, I'd love to stay, but I've got a meeting I've got to go to, so I had to. And I left. I walked out that 2-room house in tears because we give out of our abundance, but they were giving out of poverty. They were offering me everything they had in their house. They know, love their neighbor. The next picture is one. This is a picture that I didn't even know was taken. We were in Guatemala one January. We were putting stoves in these homes. And most of the homes down there, they heated and cooked over an open fire in the home. And you can know what the walls look like. I mean, they're black, and you can match what their lungs and what their eyes look like and all this. And so Mission Guatemala began putting some stoves in these homes. The stoves were about $120. They had a guy come down and give them a check and said, you pick the project to do, but I want it to make a significant difference. And so they were able to buy about 100 stoves. And so we were going to put the stoves in. We put about half a dozen in one time on a trip. It takes about 30 minutes to put them in. So we're putting the stove in, and this family's there. And this picture was actually taken afterwards, just late afternoon, and we'd gone back out, and the kids were in the truck jumping in our arms, and they would do that for hours and hours and hours. And I didn't even know Dave took this picture. It showed up on my Facebook page later. Somebody called me about it. But as we're finishing the stove, Dave elbows me, says, look over there. And the mom had one of her little kids was pouring 6 little glasses of juice. There were 6 of us putting the stove in, and her son was counting out 6 crackers. And they pulled out these plastic chairs and sat them there for us and sat them down. None of us, I mean, those chairs were in our house, we'd throw them out all the time. And they shared a meal with us. And I might add, it was one of the most sacred meals we've ever experienced. When I ate that cracker, drank that juice. Once again, they gave out of their poverty. They gave everything they have. And what a blessing it was. Another meal I want to remember, I'm going to remind you of this morning, is a community hall, La Villa in Haiti. It was one I went several years ago. Up in the mountains, no electricity, no running water. And the reason I thought about them this morning is because I think they are in the path of Hurricane Matthew. They're going to get up to 40 inches of rain. This is a mountainous area. But we had a lady cook for us. Again, no electricity, no running water. But she put phenomenal food on the table. We used to joke around the table. So Gary said, what is she going to put on the table again? Because this lady was cooking with nothing. And the food she made on there was so very good. Those meals that I've shared around the world are so very special. When I do premarital counseling with couples, I often ask them, what was mealtime like in your homes as you were growing up? And I hear so many families talk about, well, we fill our plates and we go watch TV there, we go watch TV there. And family time, dinner around the table, I mean, there should be no cell phones, no TVs. It should be the family gathering, sharing their day. And I'm afraid, we've kind of moved away from that now. I'll share one last thought. I'm going to show another video, and I think you'll like this one better. And this video was one that somebody showed me, and it's not a video that I typically would care much for. It's not a style of music I care much for. When I saw the video, I was sitting there, I actually started crying because this is it. This is it. Let's watch the video, and then let me share it with you. I'm sorry it's not in English. Only thing they have. That's what's called a flash mob. Some of you may be familiar with it, but the people in the community had no idea that was happening. But the musicians did. My friends, that's what the church needs to look like. That's what the church needs to look like. And we need to sing joyful, joyful, we adore thee each and every day. But if you think about that, each of us come to the church and we bring our different gifts, our different instruments, if you will. And we play together. And we allow Jesus, our conductor, to lead us. We make beautiful music together. I could look around, I could point out each one of you that bring a different gift. I mean, Eric up on the stage, I talked to Eric several months ago and asked him to do this. And he brings it, his art, his worship and art is going to bring something that's going to make sense out of the words that I've shared today. I look at Jim and Mark and Anna that were here. They used their gift in medical. Last year we went to Guatemala and did a medical and dental team. And they cared for people down there. Each person here, the praise team that leads on Sunday, they bring their gifts of music. The students, when they go out and share community ministry in the nursing homes, what a gift that this. And the adults that go with us on the mission trips, Gary Brown and others that have been through the training at the prayer center, when they pray for us and pray for individuals on Sunday morning, that is a gift that they offer. We make beautiful music together. That, my friends, is what the church needs to look like. But there's another part of that flash mob that I want to point out. I want to make sure. The world is watching. Do you see little kids? They were dancing. See the little kid that climbed the light pole? And she was in awe of what was going on. The world is watching this dance, and we need to invite them to dance with us. The study I've read, and so you've heard the study, says 82% of the people in the United States that don't go to church would come to church if somebody would invite them to come. Where are we? What are we doing? Well, Christ calls us to be his representatives in the world and invite people to dance. What are we doing? What are we doing? I ran across this quote. I want to begin to close on this. When the Old Testament prophets wanted to speak of the day when God's reign would finally come in its fullness, they depicted a great feast. The prophet Isaiah spoke of a coming day when Yahweh would prepare a feast of rich food for all peoples, a banquet of aged wine, the best of meats and the finest of wines. And that day when all that is wrong is made right and all that is broken is made whole, there's going to be an extravagant meal. And we share Holy Communion. We need to remember that. We need to remember that promise. Christ will come again and we will feast at his heavenly banquet together. It will be a glorious meal. On this World Communion Sunday, we need to remember that when we come to this table needs to be a place where sinners in the world, that you and me, friends, that are broken, are restored, where connection takes place. People that have never been to church before come and are connected to the table. People like Peter, that perhaps are in broken relationships, those relationships are restored. That's what the communion table needs to be like. That's what the church needs to be like. And we will make beautiful music together as we share our faith, as we dance together. Amen? One last thing, and then we'll do communion. One of the things that I say to our adults that work with our students all the time, that it is such a privilege to share our faith journey with our students. And a couple of weeks ago on Wednesday night, our students made a decision on what we do. And I don't always agree with the stuff they want us to do. But they said, can we have a night where all we do is sing? Gosh, there's more to worship than just singing. But they said, that's what we want to do. So, okay, I didn't like to do that. I said, can we at least do communion in the middle? They go, okay, Kim, we'll let you do communion. It's got to be quick. And so as the opening worship was finishing up, I was thinking, how am I going to introduce this communion? And I simply got up and said this, and this wasn't a Ken thing, this was a God thing. And I said, would any of you be willing to share what God is speaking to you about in your life right now? And for the next 40 minutes, we had about a dozen people get up and share. And they opened their heart. They shared stuff which some of them had never shared before. They shared the things they were struggling with, the things that God was speaking to their heart. And that was such a beautiful moment that was totally planned. Totally planned. That's what we need. That's what we need to be about. We need to be on the same journey together. We need to be bringing our gifts to the church and making beautiful music together. But we also need to remember there's a lot of the people out there that we need to invite to the table together. Amen? Father, I thank you. I thank you for the truth of your word. I thank you for what you reveal to us in Scripture. I thank you for this table that we will soon join together. And Father, I pray that each of us will be challenged to think of others that we need to invite to come to this table, to this dance. In the name of Jesus we pray. Gospel to sing.